Today on Rainbow Country, Rising Through the Fray, a Canadian documentary that follows Indigenous Rising, a roller derby team preparing to claim their space on the roller derby track as the first borderless team in the sport. Joining me to talk about all things Fray is the film's award-winning writer and director, Courtney Montour.
Hi, I'm Christopher Rice, and this is Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Courtney Montour. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. Am I saying your name correctly? Courtney Montour?
Yep, that's perfect.
Well, yay, well done to me. Well done to me. Okay, let's start here. You are an award-winning filmmaker, writer, director. Your most recent film is your feature-length film, a documentary, Rising Through the Fray. Congrats on your feature-length debut. Congrats on that. Let's start from the ground and build up. Talk to me essentially about the story that you're telling in this documentary. What's this all about?
Yeah, well, Rising Through the Fray is about Indigenous Rising, and they are the first borderless team in roller derby. So what that means is in 2018, they came out at the Roller Derby World Cup in Manchester in the UK and gathered a team and said, you know what? We don't want to represent, a country, a state, a province. We don't want to represent these colonial borders that were put upon us. And they applied as a team of Indigenous women from around the world representing their nations collectively. And to me, it was jaw-dropping. It was a groundbreaking moment, not only in roller derby, but just to see, it hadn't been done before, to see that many different nations of women, Indigenous women coming together to be represented on a team. And for me, it was like, there needs to be a film about this. It's so important to see this kind of representation.
So Rising Through the Fray tells the story of the Indigenous roller derby team, Indigenous Rising. You were just talking about, essentially how this came about, but the origins for that, the spark for that, what gave you the idea to want to tell this story then?
Yeah. Well, so I'm a Ganikahaga filmmaker from Ganawage, and I've been working in documentary for like about 18 years now. And to me, issues of identity are just so important to bring up and share because I feel like there's lots of outside kind of oppressing factors at times, systemic, historically, that really impact our individual and collective identity. And it was really interesting for me to be able to bring those ideas into a film that is also about roller derby, because a lot of people don't necessarily know what roller derby is. And to me, it's just such a fun, amazing sport to watch. I'm from the Montreal area, so we have like one of the top leagues in the world, and we have access to roller derby here to watch it all the time. And it's just such a fast-paced sport. Two teams on roller skates, on quads, going against each other to try to see like which player on their team will be scoring the points. It's highly competitive. It's a full contact sport. And it's all women and non-binary individuals who are on the main roller derby teams. So that in itself is just a really cool, fun sport to watch. And then you bring in this layer of Indigenous Rising, and my mind was kind of blown. Like I said, a historic, groundbreaking moment. And when you bring two things together, we now have a starting point to really get into some very emotional, personal storytelling.
Well said, well said. So Rising Through the Fray will have a Canadian National Theatrical Release.
Yeah.
Congrats on that. From essentially January 29th to April 23rd in select cities. How exciting and how excited are you to have your debut feature length film in theaters across Canada? What does this mean for you?
Yeah, it really is fantastic. We started off with a strong festival run, especially when we premiered here in Montreal at RIDM and then afterwards at Image and Nation. Just the love and the packed houses and the conversations that came out afterward. There was just so much engagement because people saw themselves reflected in these stories of trying to figure out your identity and where you belong and being seen and represented. So to be able to bring this now to theatrical screenings across the country is just, it's so important. There's just, again, the experience to see a film, with an audience, it's just, it just adds so much to it. You get to hear those emotional moments, the laughter, some tears, and I think there you just hold on to that more, and the stories of Indigenous Rising will sit with you even more.
Hmm. So cities like there's Montreal, there's Edmonton, there's Winnipeg, there's Sherbrooke, there's Ottawa. Watch out, cities, because here comes the fray.
I love that. Yes,
So,
yes.
so,
Yeah,
so
it's coming, and maybe even more.
yes,
And
from
it's,
your lips to God's ears. So here's
yeah.
the I just mentioned the fray, rising through the fray. That's the title.
Yes.
Is there a story behind this particular title for this film, for this documentary?
Yeah, well, I mean, Fray, basically, like the meaning is like, chaos, disorder, and it's a term that's actually used by some of the announcers in roller derby when they're on the track and some of the teams are being blocked or stopped from the other team. And it's like, oh, they're caught in the fray. They're trying to get through the fray. So that's where the title came from because that's literally what Indigenous Rising is doing. They are, rising through the fray and showing people who they are and being proud.
Okay, 2021 American Indian Film Festival, Best Short Documentary, and the winner is You for Married Two Acts Early, I Am Indian Again. 2025 Canadian Screen Awards, Best Writing Documentary, and the winner is You and journalist Tanya Talaga for the CBC documentary series, The Knowing. So here's the question. When did you first get introduced to film and your love of film? When did this all originate for you?
It really started, I'd say almost by chance. I graduated in journalism, but it didn't connect with me. I felt like it wasn't a field I wanted to work in. I wasn't. It didn't feel like I had time to connect with the individuals that I'd be interviewing. And then a filmmaker suggested I should reach out to Mushkeg Media, which was a Cree production company in Montreal at the time, led by Paul Rickard and George Hargrave, and to go try my hand out there, that they were really supportive of mentoring individuals coming up in the field. And that's where my love for working in the documentary field came from. And I think that's so important. And it's what I try to bring through in my work as well to mentor and support other filmmakers, regardless of the skill level that they're at. I think we need to do that, support each other, learn from each other to be able to move forward. And that was the formative years for me where I got to try my hands out on everything. And they were really supportive of, taking me out on shoots. And I fell in love with directing and with writing and realizing that we had a chance to tell our story our ways, to really spend time with the individuals in the films. And is the thing that still sticks with me, that it's their story that's going to live on forever. Um, that the individuals in the films need to be involved in that process of telling their story, and that relationship with them continues beyond the film. And now there's a connection with that person, and I think that's really important. And that's what shines through in Rising Through the Fray. It was a really collaborative process over many years with Indigenous Rising.
I just mentioned a couple of your awards just a few moments ago, and I think it's fair to say that you don't necessarily get into the creative arts to win awards. In your case, 2025 Canadian Screen Awards. Congrats on that and your other award. Uh, but being recognized for your work, being seen for your work, generally speaking, what does that mean to you? What does that mean for you?
You know what it means, these awards, it it's recognition that our peers and the general public is watching these stories and connecting with our Indigenous realities and histories. And that's, to me, that's what's important. I also love showing my work in educational institutions, and I think the kind of work that I create, and even with Rising Through the Fray, it's to introduce people to our lived experiences and in a really intimate, welcoming way that can also be very emotional, but it's a starting off point that now someone they want to learn more, they can go out there and find the resources to start that learning or share the information about these stories.
What was the most challenging part about bringing Rising Through the Fray to the big screen? What was the most challenging part for you?
You know, there were little things here and there, like COVID. COVID shut down roller derby for 3 years. I mean, the whole world shut, but it was something that was very challenging for the sport because it is a completely DIY sport. Um, Everyone pays their own way to play. I mean, it's a huge uh, investment. All of these individuals are just it's a passion project of them, and they volunteer to to ref, to coach, everything. So the sport really had to shut down because nobody could pay to quarantine teams in hotel rooms to play during COVID. And so we had to stop filming for that period of time and stay in contact with the team, but wonder, is the team going to come back? And it was really special when they did. Like, we filmed with them in 2019 for one shoot, and then the next time that we shot again was when the team came back together, and that was in 2023 at the All-Stars tournament in Louisiana. So I think there was also something really beautiful to be with them again as they were reforming, rebranding, bringing new players on, and like meeting for the first time in a parking lot to start warming up and training for the first time. We were there with them, and that shows in the film, and we follow that journey of the team.
Quote, roller derby was a mainstay in my baby queer years. Attending live games in Montreal, a roller derby hub, is a unique electric vibe all its own that is rooted in queer community gathering. Unquote. That's a quote of yours. Here's my
Yes.
last question for you, and it's simply this. What do you hope audiences come away with after they've seen Rising through the Fray? What do you hope audiences come away with?
I am hoping that people see their own stories reflected in Indigenous Rising. Um, no matter what background they come from, the sense of navigating to find out who you are, and needing to see representation and that feeling of belonging. Um, I hope it also introduces the general public to a really fantastic female empowering sport that many people might not know about. And for young Indigenous people to see this team and be proud and be like, hey, I can go and do this. Whether it's in derby or elsewhere, I can do a sport like this.
Well said, well said. Courtney Montour, well said, well done, well filmed, well made. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Mark.